watched with bated breath. It was 1998, and India had just detonated a nuclear device. This wasn't the first time. India had surprised the world with a peaceful nuclear explosion back in 1974. But this time felt different. The world had changed. The Cold War was over, and a new era was supposed to be dawning. Yet, here was India, asserting itself as a nuclear weapons power. This act had profound implications, not just for India, but for the entire South Asian region and beyond. India's nuclear arsenal is a complex and often controversial topic. Many argue that it is a necessary deterrent in a volatile region. Others fear that it increases the risk of a catastrophic conflict. Understanding the history, the motivations, and the potential consequences of India's nuclear program is crucial for comprehending the geopolitical landscape of the 21st century. India's nuclear journey is deeply intertwined with its history, its security concerns, and its aspirations on the world stage. Decades in the making, India's nuclear program reflects a deep-seated belief in its right to determine its destiny in a world where nuclear weapons have been the preserve of a select few. The shadow of nuclear weapons hangs heavy over South Asia. At this moment, the tension in South Asia is palpable. The nuclear capabilities of India cast a long shadow over the region, influencing both political and military strategies. This chapter delves into the intricate dynamics at play, exploring how nuclear weapons shape the geopolitical landscape. The seeds of India's nuclear ambitions were sown in the years following its independence in 1947. The trauma of partition, the nascent rivalry with Pakistan, and the looming presence of China all contributed to a sense of vulnerability. India's leaders, acutely aware of the power dynamics of the emerging Cold War system, saw nuclear weapons as both a deterrent and a status symbol. Early efforts in nuclear research were driven by the vision of Homi Bhabha, the father of India's nuclear program. Bhabha envisioned nuclear energy not just as a source of power, but also as a tool for national development and international prestige. Under his leadership, India embarked on a path of acquiring the scientific and technological capabilities necessary for nuclear weapons production. The 1962 war with China was a turning point. India's defeat in the Himalayas exposed its military vulnerabilities and fueled a sense of insecurity. The perceived threat from China, coupled with Pakistan's growing military ties with the West, strengthened the case for India developing its own nuclear deterrent. This period saw a shift in India's nuclear policy, moving from a focus on peaceful uses of atomic energy to a more overt consideration of nuclear weapons as a security imperative. By the late 1960s, India had acquired the technical capability to build nuclear weapons. The decision to cross the nuclear threshold, however, was a complex one with far-reaching implications. In May 1974, India conducted its first nuclear test, codenamed Smiling Buddha, in Pokhran, Rajasthan. This event, which India declared a peaceful nuclear explosion, sent shockwaves across the globe. It marked India's arrival as a nuclear-capable state, challenging the global non-proliferation regime and altering the strategic calculus in South Asia. While India maintained that the test was for peaceful purposes, it was widely seen as a demonstration of its nuclear capabilities. For over 2 decades, India resisted international pressure to conduct further tests or openly declare itself a nuclear weapons state. This period was marked by a policy of nuclear ambiguity, where India maintained a credible minimum deterrent without explicitly acknowledging its nuclear arsenal. This approach allowed India to avoid international sanctions while signaling its nuclear capabilities to its adversaries. However, the geopolitical landscape shifted dramatically in the 1990s. The collapse of the Soviet Union removed a key ally for India. At the same time, Pakistan was making strides in its nuclear weapons program. These developments, coupled with growing tensions with Pakistan, led India to reassess its nuclear posture. In May 1998, India conducted a series of nuclear tests at Pokhran, dubbed Pokhran II. These tests, which included thermonuclear devices, were a decisive break from India's earlier ambiguity. They were a clear declaration of India's nuclear weapons capabilities and its intention to be recognized as a nuclear weapons state. These tests triggered international condemnation and sanctions, but also solidified India's nuclear status. In the aftermath of Pokhran II, India embarked on a program of nuclear modernization and expansion. The goal was to develop a credible nuclear triad consisting of land-based ballistic missiles, aircraft-delivered bombs, and sea-launched ballistic missiles. This triad would provide India with a range of options for nuclear retaliation, ensuring the survivability of its deterrent force. India's missile program has witnessed significant advancements. It has developed a family of ballistic missiles, including the short-range Prithvi, the medium-range Agni, and the intercontinental-range Agni-V. These missiles, with varying ranges and payloads, provide India with the capability to strike targets across its neighborhood and beyond. The development of these missiles has been driven by the need to maintain a credible deterrent against both Pakistan and China. India has also made strides in developing its naval nuclear capabilities. The induction of the INS Arihant, India's first indigenously built nuclear-powered submarine equipped with ballistic missiles, marked a significant milestone. This submarine gives India a secure second strike capability, further enhancing its nuclear deterrence. These advancements in delivery systems, coupled with the continued production of fissile material, have solidified India's position as a nuclear weapons state. However, they have also raised concerns about an arms race in South Asia. India's nuclear doctrine has been a subject of much debate and speculation. After the 1998 tests, India adopted a policy of no first use, NFU, pledging to use nuclear weapons only in retaliation against a nuclear attack. This policy was seen as a stabilizing factor in the region, as it reduced the risk of miscalculation or accidental use. However, in recent years, there have been indications of a potential shift in India's nuclear posture. Some analysts argue that India is moving away from its strict adherence to NFU towards a more proactive doctrine that includes the possibility of preemptive strikes in certain circumstances. This shift is attributed to several factors, including the changing nature of threats facing India, particularly from Pakistan. The rise of terrorism, particularly cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan, has posed a significant challenge to India's security calculations. The Mumbai terror attacks of 2008, carried out by Pakistan-based militants, highlighted the limitations of India's conventional deterrence against such threats. Some in India argue that a more flexible nuclear doctrine, including the option of preemption, is necessary to deter state-sponsored terrorism. Furthermore, the development of tactical nuclear weapons by Pakistan, designed for battlefield use, has also contributed to this debate. India's traditional reliance on NFU has been predicated on the assumption of a strategic nuclear exchange. However, the emergence of tactical nuclear weapons blurs the lines between conventional and nuclear conflict, complicating India's deterrence calculus. The nuclear rivalry between India and Pakistan continues to have implications that extend far beyond South Asia. A nuclear conflict in the region would have devastating humanitarian consequences, not just for the two countries involved, but also for the wider world. The environmental impact of a nuclear exchange would be catastrophic, with long-term effects on global climate and health. The international community has a vital interest in promoting peace and stability in South Asia. Recent efforts to encourage dialogue between India and Pakistan, address the underlying causes of conflict, and strengthen the global non-proliferation regime are crucial. International pressure can play a role in encouraging both countries to adopt more responsible nuclear postures and to engage in risk reduction measures. The challenge lies in finding a balance between respecting India and Pakistan's legitimate security concerns and addressing the risks posed by their nuclear arsenals. A one-size-fits-all approach to non-proliferation is unlikely to succeed. Engagement with both countries, based on a realistic assessment of their security concerns and a recognition of their strategic autonomy, is essential. The future of South Asia is inextricably linked to the management of its nuclear realities. A stable and peaceful South Asia requires a commitment from both India and Pakistan to responsible nuclear behavior, meaningful dialogue, and a willingness to address the root causes of their conflict. The world watches and waits, hoping that wisdom and restraint will prevail. Like, share, and subscribe to Nation Cognizance for more latest videos.